Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we'll be discussing the problems of Delta Force Hawk Ops. Yesterday, I gave the game quite a lot of praise, with a little criticism at the end of the video, but I had way more thoughts than that, and this is what this video is going to be about. I have put about 16 or 17 hours into the game in the 2 days that it's been out. Yes, I am a no-life. So by this amount of playtime, I am starting to actively identify the things that stick out to me and irritate me. Some things are personal preference, other things I would argue are just objectively bad and need to be addressed in some way, shape, or form. And I know what some people are going to say, Enders, you 180'd on Delta Force in less than 24 hours? No, absolutely not. Delta Force still is, in my view, a very solid game with a very solid base. However, there are some problems. And we are allowed to discuss these problems as a community, and we will do that right now. So, if you enjoy the channel, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on. If you plan on following Delta Force, this is the channel for you. I'll be putting out settings videos, tips and tricks videos, weapon explanation videos, update and news videos, weapon stats explanation guides, basically everything under the sun. So if you want to follow the game, this is the channel for you. And also I stream every single day on this YouTube channel and my Twitch channel. Links are in the description. Now, the very first thing that I want to address about Delta Force in its playtest is apparently, ladies and gentlemen, there are bots in the servers that are disguised as TTV name streamers. Yes, I am not kidding. I thought I was being gaslit when someone told me this. When someone said, Enders, the TTV streamers you're killing, yeah, those are bots. I thought they were calling them bad. I didn't realize they were being serious and calling these TTV players in-game actual AI. And lo and behold, when someone linked me proof of this, I couldn't believe it. And it's one thing to have AI in your game, but it's another thing to sort of cover up the fact that it's AI. Because there's nothing that tells you it's AI. It looks like a player. It fooled me. I didn't even think anything of it. And maybe time will pass and this won't be a problem at all. Maybe this is something they will address publicly and it's something to do with the playtest and the servers are being full just to maybe like keep a certain load on the server. I have no idea. But they need to address this and they need to tell us what's going on because this should definitely not be in the full game release. I don't want to play against AI. If it's a free-to-play game with crossplay, there should be enough players to fill a server. Now, moving away from the AI thing onto the topic of movement. In my about 16 or 17 hours streaming this game so far, I have had thousands of people come in, and a lot of them have mentioned the movement is clunky. They get stuck on objects. It's not as fluid as they would expect, and I actually 100% agree. In fact, the movement for me personally is probably my #1 issue in Delta Force right now. So, what are the problems and how can they possibly address them? The #1 problem that I encounter is the lack of fluidity. What I mean by this is, the stance transitions are not fluid, right? So from prone to crouch to standing, or from standing to prone, it feels laggy, it feels bad, and worst of all, if you're trying to perform an action, such as putting an armor plate on, or as using a healing syringe, you can't do it while you're stance changing, which doesn't seem like a big deal, but go back and play Battlefield and you realize just how big of a deal it is. And building on this topic with a similar problem, you cannot sprint and throw a smoke grenade. You cannot sprint and put an armor plate on. You cannot sprint and self-heal. These are all quality of life things that sound pretty minuscule, but in reality are absolutely essential to having a fluid gameplay experience. And on top of all of this, I just think they need to tweak the way the terrain interaction with the movement is, so you sort of glide over the surface of things a little smoother. I understand getting stuck on large boulders and stuff, but this tiny little crack in the ground or this pebble, I should not be getting caught up on it. And in terms of just movement options itself, I do personally find the game only having the slide available on a single character is very strange, and when you jump in Delta Force, it's almost like you're being suspended in midair by one of those movie things that like pull up the actors when they're doing a superhero movie for filming. It's like basically you're on strings when you jump and you're floating in the air, then you slowly go back down. It's very floaty, doesn't feel very natural to me. So TLDR with all this movement stuff, there are multiple quality of life changes they could do that are very simple with stance changing and just performing actions while moving, as well as terrain interaction, to drastically improve the movement of Delta Force. It's the fluidity that's important. And speaking of fluidity, let's talk about the gunplay now. I enjoy Delta Force's gunplay for the most part. I'd say 90% of it is good. However, there are certain things that are very, very annoying. First of all, some of the weapons have insane muzzle flash that completely remove your vision while shooting. That just needs to be addressed. And on top of that, the aim punch in the game is ludicrous sometimes. I'm not exactly sure what affects aim punch, like getting shot perhaps in a certain part of the body makes you get flinched more than others, but sometimes you're in a gunfight, you swear you have the kill, then you get aim punched and you just die. I think that could be toned down and no one would really complain about it. And then the worst thing of all with this gunplay system is the fact that they decoupled the point of aim from screen center and attached the point of aim to the center of your weapon's reticle. Now that doesn't sound bad, but your weapon's reticle deviates from screen center, and you naturally aim with the center of your screen in FPS games. So it's disorienting sometimes. And it's not as disorienting with some weapons as it is with other weapons. So not only is it a mechanic that applies to all weapons, it applies inconsistently to all weapons. There's a very simple solution to this. You tie the point of aim to screen center like a normal video game and call it a day. I really can't put my finger on what the obsession is with these developers messing with the point of aim or just how you aim in FPS games. Stop doing it. It's unnatural, and it just feels worse. But like I said, while I do enjoy the gunplay quite a bit, even the things that I've stated that are big problems could be fixed in a fucking overnight hotfix. It's that simple. Now, moving away from the gunplay and all that, onto some other topics, let's talk about the maps for a second. The maps are pretty brutal sometimes, particularly on defense. Some areas are definitely weaker than others when it comes to design. With that being said, they're not the worst maps I've ever played in my entire life, but they are certainly not the best. A lot of the areas feel like they suffer from being incredibly difficult to push. A great example of this is the cave point on I think the map is called Ascent or Ascended. It's the map where you land on the beach with a boat, and then when you go up to the caves, you ride a huge zip line up to the top of the mountain. Those caves are so hard to push. And then the other map in the city, in the desert city, when you get to the last sector, the crosses are brutal. People are on rooftops. People are on dark windows where you can't see them. More on the visibility later. But I just feel as though the map design suffers from being incredibly difficult to push for various reasons, whether it be a choke, or there's a bunch of open space, or it's just simply difficult to get the defenders out of their positions. A lot of the times when you're pushing something, there are multiple areas of height, even from 50 or 60 meters away, that you don't think you have to worry about, but you actually do have to worry about. And with the gunplay being the way it is, you can die from extremely far away. So even if you think you have an opening, you actually don't. I certainly hope the maps that come with the full release of Delta Force are better than these two. Like I said, they're not the worst maps ever. I would still put these above Battlefield 2042's maps, but I just want to see something a little more, you know what I mean? Now, I mentioned I would talk about visibility a little bit more. I am not entirely sure if this is down to my settings. I've tried messing with a few things, but sometimes the visibility of this game is not good. Even with the red sort of icons that appear over people when you aim at them, it's very difficult to see some people. But thankfully, there is an easy solution to this. All they have to do is add player illumination to the game. What this means is, basically the players are just brighter. That's really it. I think a combination of the players being brighter and with maybe better settings that I have yet to figure out, the visibility would be just fine. And the last thing I will mention in this video is the netcode. I have had so many people ask me, Enders, what do you think about the netcode? And I actually haven't answered a single question because I don't know. I have to play the game. Now, I've played the game for, like I said, 16 or 17 hours now, and I think it could be wrong, but I am almost 90% sure there are instances where the netcode messes up and enemies see you like a second or a half a second before you see them. Does that make sense? Have you ever fought someone in this game and they hit a crazy pre-fire on you and they're like, and you're just like, what? Like, how could this guy possibly know I'm coming? The answer is, I think it has something to do with the netcode or maybe the sync of the game, and maybe there's some sort of desync going on where that enemy saw you on his screen before you saw him on your screen. I don't have any like super technical data on this. It's just from my feel of the game. It's very subtle. Again, I'm talking maybe potentially less than half a second in some scenarios, but I do feel it, and it does feel weird. So I would say those are my main concerns for Delta Force at this point. Overall, again, the game is very solid. I think if they continue to build off of this base, they're going to make a really good game, considering, again, it's free to play. A lot of the problems that I detailed in this video are easily fixed if they can identify them. We will have to see how they do with updates. I am very interested in how they update this game and how the game changes moving forward. So, if you want to keep up with Delta Force, be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on if you're interested in any of the, settings videos, tips and tricks, weapons guides, news, any sort of that thing. Hit the like button on the video, and of course, watch the streams. I go live every single day on this YouTube channel and on my Twitch channel at the very same time. Thank you all for watching. Comment down below your thoughts, and I will see you guys in the next one.